students, today we will start with solid state chapter. Okay, it's the first chapter of class 12, and as per board exam its weightage is 4 marks. In the first class basic we are going to study, and then onward this chapter is very interesting. Little imagination is required. Let's see what it is. First, we are doing properties of solid. Actually, there are main 3 states we studied. That is gaseous state, then you have liquid state, and then solid state. These 2 we have done in class 11. We have already finished it. Okay, that is in states of matter we had it. Now in 12th class you have solid state. So we first begin with the properties of solid. That general idea everybody has it. Mass, volume, shape. For solids they have definite mass, volume and shape. They will have everything different mass, they have shape, you cannot press it. Of course you will be studying that part here. Intermolecular distances. The intermolecular distances between the constituent particles are very less. They have short intermolecular distances between them. Actually every property is related to each other. Because they have short intermolecular distances, you can say they are incompressible. Because they have short intermolecular distances, they have definite shape, definite volume and so on. The next one, position of the constituent particles. What particles we are mainly talking? In solids, you may have the constituent particles as atoms, it can be ions, it can be molecules. So it says the position of the constituent particles such as this atom, ion, molecule is fixed. It is fixed. They do not move. At the most, there is oscillatory motion. There is oscillatory motion of these constituent particles at their position itself. They do not move from here and there easily. Their position is fixed. They are incompressible. Incompressible means you cannot press it. They cannot change the shape. As we studied here, they have a definite shape. We can say they are rigid. They are incompressible solids. Solids are incompressible, rigid. Okay. Intermolecular forces. Now, as we said, they have a definite shape. They are incompressible. Obviously, the intermolecular forces between the constituent particles will be very strong. Now, what all intermolecular forces we might expect? Depending upon what solid we are talking about, the intermolecular forces might be. They can be London dispersion forces. Actually, we will be studying about all these later also. London dispersion forces. There can be metallic bond. There can be ionic bond. There can be covalent bond. Depending upon what category we are considering. We will also take these a few examples I have written. The intermolecular forces between the constituent particles are very strong. What all forces are there? That's some idea I have given you. So just we have studied as of now what are the properties of solid. Okay. Please note down also whatever I am discussing in the video. Now we will talk about the 2 types of solid. That is crystalline and amorphous solid. Now if we do not know the actual structure, just we are holding some solid between the fingers and see. Crystalline means they will have some rough surface. And amorphous is very soft, like talcum powder. It's very soft to touch. That is amorphous. So basic idea I am giving you. But internally what properties or how they differ, we are going to discuss. Okay. First one. These are the properties on what basis we are going to distinguish between them. Number 1, shape. Crystalline solids have definite geometrical shape. They have definite geometrical shape. They have a proper geometry. We will be talking about various types of geometry in this chapter. Amorphous solids, they have irregular shape. Their shape is irregular. Okay. melting point. Crystalline solids have sharp characteristic melting point. They have sharp characteristic. Characteristic melting point means, suppose any solid melts at 50 degrees Celsius. That means at 50, complete solid will convert to liquid. Whereas here for amorphous we say they gradually soften. They gradually soften. And we can also say they have the range of the melting point. They have a range of melting point. That means maybe if it is having the melting point say at 40 degree, it may start at 39.5, go up to 40.45 or whatever. Just rough idea I am giving you. Means they will gradually start melting and the whole solid will melt in some time. So gradually soften and they have a range of the melting point. They do not have a sharp or characteristic, or we can say a definite melting point. Next property is the cleavage property. Now when these crystalline solids, they are cut with sharp edge tool, then they will divide into two. If we are cutting them with the sharp edge tool, they will divide into two pieces. The two pieces have plain smooth surface. They have the plain smooth surface. That is, when you are cutting them with the knife or some sharp object, it will form two pieces and each piece, the new surface form will be smooth. It will be plain. Whereas here, when it is cut with the sharp edge tool, the two pieces will be formed. This part is the same. The two pieces will be formed, but the new pieces formed will be rough surface they will have. They will have rough surface. They will not be uniform. Is it clear? This I think you can write. When cut with a sharp edge tool, two pieces will be formed. Each piece has a rough surface. Clear? Heat of fusion. See children, you are familiar with this enthalpy of fusion, heat of fusion. We have studied in thermodynamics that the amount of the heat required to convert 1 mole of the solid to liquid. That is heat of fusion. So again, something like melting point. They have definite heat of fusion. They have a definite heat of fusion. Here, not definite. It is not definite in the case of amorphous solid. Okay. This is a new term for you children here, anisotropy. First let me write it. Crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature. These are anisotropic in nature, whereas amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. Now what does it mean? As we know, they have a definite crystalline shape. That means there is a proper arrangement of the constituent particles in a three-dimensional lattice. So, suppose we take the example of a crystalline solid and we cut this crystalline solid through this line. That is that one line which I have marked. Or I am cutting through the second line or through the third line. What do I find? If I cut from this line, first line, I am having cation, anion, cation, anion. Means alternately both are appearing on this side. Whereas if I cut through the second line, there are only one particular type of ions. If I see here, third, also one type of ion. What I want to say is that if the particular solid is, cleaved at one particular direction, because the ions are not same, so the physical properties will not be same. So let me tell you what is the definition for anisotropy. Anisotropic substances are those which have different physical properties. They have different physical properties. Which physical properties they are talking about? Refractive index, electrical resistance. They will have different physical properties in different directions. And this is the peculiar property of a crystalline solid. Okay, because in amorphous they are not regular, their positions are not fixed. Randomly these constituent particles are present in the amorphous solid, whereas here because their position is fixed, you saw here cation and ion cation, alternately they are placed. So they will have different physical properties in different directions. Which physical properties? I have written this in the bracket. So this is the property of what? Crystalline solid. Because they are having different physical properties in different directions, they are called as anisotropic substances. Whereas in amorphous, we say they have same properties in all the directions. If it is cut from this direction or the other direction, in amorphous, their properties will not change. So they are isotropic, crystalline, and this is a new thing for you. Nature. The crystalline solids are true solids. These are true solids. Whereas the amorphous solids are pseudo-solids. Pseudo-solids, or we also call them as super-cooled liquid. These are super-cooled liquids. Now, here, children, there is very important question asked in the board exam. The window panes, if they are made up of glass, over the period of time, they become thicker at the bottom. Because glass is amorphous solid, it has the property to flow down. As it flows down, it will become thicker at the bottom. It's important, 1 mark question asked. Window panes of the old ancient buildings, they become thicker at the bottom over the years. Reason being, glass is a super cooled liquid. It has the property to flow down, so it becomes thick. Right? This is one question asked. Another, order. Crystalline solids have long range order. They have long range order, and amorphous has short range order. Now what does this mean? It means in crystalline, since we said their constituent particles have a particular definite position, they cannot be present anywhere else. So between the constituent particle there is more gap. So they are long range order, whereas these, they can be present anywhere. They try to occupy the minimum space, so it can be short range order. Okay, but otherwise you can take some example. Crystalline solid, there are number of salts which we deal with. All metals, they can be example for crystalline solids. For this you can have, say, plastic, you can have glass. Okay, this example we will take separately also in the tabular column. See, even amorphous, you have silicon. Amorphous silicon, which has number of applications also. Okay, please note down all this. There is one more classification of these solids, that is mainly on the basis of what type of attractive forces exist between the constituent particles. Okay, you have 4 categories in this. Number 1, molecular solid. Second, ionic solid. Metallic solid. Covalent or network. These are same. Okay. On different categories we are going to study for each type. Like for them, first one, the constituent particles in each one of them is molecule. As the name says, molecular solid, the constituent particles are also molecules. And in ionic solid, the constituent particles are ions. Okay. For metallic solid, the constituent particles are the metal ions in sea of delocalized electrons. We will discuss this. Delocalized electron. And in covalent, the constituent particles are atoms. Now, what kind of the intermolecular? We will go this way now. We will complete one category. I have written here examples because with the examples, the other things become easy for us to remember. Okay, this is molecular further of 3 categories. Non-polar, polar or hydrogen bond. Each type, the constituent particle is molecule only. Now, in molecular, each one will have different type of the attractive forces between them. Like in non-polar, the forces are London dispersion forces. These are comparatively weak forces, something like van der Waals forces of attraction. Okay. Polar, as the name itself says, polar is, ions are there, so it is dipole. Dipole interactions exist. So each, between one dipole and the other dipole, there will be some forces of attraction. Hydrogen bond, as the name only says, the attractive forces will be hydrogen bond. Only in molecular you have the subcategories. Okay. Now these are the examples for the non-polar. Argon, all noble gases we can write. Carbon tetrachloride, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, chlorine, iodine. These are all soft. The first category, non-polar, is soft. It is insulator. Melting point is, now molecular, they will have comparatively low melting point only. They will have all low. Now for polar, dipole we said, this is the example, this is soft. All will be insulator. For all categories of molecular, they will be insulators. And for them, melting point also will be high. Here you can say comparatively it might be more, but overall in comparison to the others, it is less only. Okay, so first category we have completed. Molecular solid, 3 types. Oh, main, you have to see is what type of forces exist. With that we can, write the other things also. Ionic solid, the constituent particles are ions. Okay, so what type of forces exist between them? Between the ions, what forces are there? Electrostatic force of attraction. Electrostatic forces are there. Or we can say between cation and ion there are forces of attraction which are holding them together. Oppositely charged ions, they have some forces. Example, all ionic solids we can write. What salts we talk about in the lab? Sodium chloride, magnesium oxide, zinc sulfide, you can add on so many examples. These are hard. Ionic solids are hard, but one thing we can write here, they are brittle. And not that hard that they cannot be broken easily. They are hard and brittle. If we have to talk about the electrical property, we will say they are not good conductors. Not good conductors in solid form. In solid form. But they are good conductors, but are conductors when in molten state or in aqueous state. Because as long as they are in the solid state, all ions are held together with strong forces. Ions are not free, they are not good conductors. But once you dissolve them in water, the forces, between the cation and ion weaken, the ions are free, they are good conductors then. Melting point will be high. For them it is high. Ionic solids have high melting point than the molecular. Metallic. Now here, actually we know all metals are very good conductors because they can lose the electrons readily. So all electrons, they come out, they form a sea of the electrons over the surface of the metal. But that does not mean the metal ions are only left behind inside. So all metal ions should be repelling each other. These sea of the electrons, they keep moving in between the gaps. So it is said the metal ions, they are embedded sort of in the sea of the delocalized electrons. So it is balanced this way. These metal ions are also called as kernels. These are also termed as kernels. Kernel. Okay. Example for, between them the forces will be metallic bond. The force between the metal atom will be metallic bond. Examples, all metal atoms you can write. They are hard. We can also write they are malleable. They are malleable. They are ductile. And of course, they are all good conductors. All metals are very good conductors. And the melting point is fairly high. It is fairly high. Melting point is towards the higher side only. Another one. Covalent or network solid. The constituent particles you have written, it is atom. Attractive forces will be covalent bond between them. Covalent bond. Different examples I have written. Actually, these I have written under two different categories: silicon oxide, silicon carbide. Carbon in the diamond form. This is diamond form carbon. Aluminium nitride. These are all very hard solids. So these are hard. Network, like we have studied in 11th class, structure for silicon oxide. Diamond structure also we have studied. These are also very hard substances. They come under the category of covalent. And only this one, that is carbon with the graphite, this is comparatively soft. We can also say this is a good conductor otherwise. And the upper one, these are all insulators. These are insulators. We know diamond is not a good conductor. There is no free electron. All 4 electrons are involved in the bond formation. And this is very high. The melting point is very high in the network solid. Sometimes you may be asked, arrange them in the increasing order of the attractive forces or melting point, or some examples might be given, identify which category you will place them in. Like that the questions can be asked. Please note down this.